Welcome to that Groovy Scoobcast, your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo.
We were on our way to Gatorsburg, but the mystery machine unexpectedly broke down.
Can you see what's wrong, Derek?
Well, you see that hole there? That should be an engine. Do you like my new Scooby-Doo sweater?
Yeah.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so comfy in it.
It looks comfy.
And my apartment's cold right now, so
I know.
It's great. Do you want a sweater?
I think I brought a sweater. It might be in my car. I grabbed it, but I don't remember if I left home with it.
Oh.
Today was like the worst morning ever, remember? It was like 900 things going on. I thought I brought it inside, and then I was looking around, and I was like, nope.
Hey guys, my name is Derek.
And I'm Shannon.
Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be reviewing an episode from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, one of the more entertaining series, I think, for the Scooby-Doo franchise. We're both really excited to talk about this series again.
I was really excited to start it. Like, I was really excited to come back to it.
Yeah.
And that excitement disappeared. Don't know where it went.
It got extinguished.
It's gone.
Like the engine?
Yep.
So are you ready to kick off the Mystery Machine match?
Always.
Okay. Well, for this Scooby-Doo trivia competition, as always, Shannon, you go first.
The moon monster scares Scooby-Doo and his friends at the Palace of Rampu. In which country? In which Asian country?
Vietnam?
China.
All right, well, here's your first question. Who says puppy power?
Scrappy-Doo.
Did you like that one?
Easy.
What's your next question?
What Scooby-Doo voice actor was a regular on Laugh-In? I think it's Laugh Olympics.
Don Messick?
No, it was Artie Johnson, who was the voice of Weird.
Oh, like it meant like a voice actor from the Scooby-Doo cartoon, not like specific to Scooby.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Laugh Olympics.
I don't think it's Laugh Olympics. I think it's something else.
I don't know what Laugh-In is.
I don't either, but evidently it was asking like just a general actor. It didn't need to be like an actor that played Scooby. So, okay, well, that sucks. Here's your next question. What type of fabric does Daphne have a hatred of? Think about she's kind of like classy and rich girl.
So my question is, what are all of my clothes made out of? Polyester?
Yeah, you're right. It was polyester.
Cotton, polyester.
Any of those.
Things that don't shrink when I wash them in my washer and dryer.
What's your last question for me?
What is the name of the ceremony done in the Scooby-Doo movie to achieve world domination? Is it the Dark Apocalypse or the Monster Apocalypse?
They both sound so stupid and cheesy. But then again, that movie was stupid and cheesy.
I like that movie.
Was it the Dark Apocalypse?
It was.
Was it? Okay.
Congratulations.
I got one. Yay. Okay, here's your last question. The ghost of what kind of Japanese swordsman scares the gang in Now Museum, Now You Don't?
Is it a samurai?
Yeah, you're right.
Woohoo!
You got 3 out of 3, right?
I know I got 3 out of 3. So you know what that means?
You might have caught up.
Let's add them up.
Well, it looks like we're both now sitting with 21 points, meaning that you have now tied with me.
Woohoo!
You are giving me a hardball this season.
We are in the final countdown.
Yeah, we only got maybe 1 or 2 episodes left in which we're doing the Mystery Machine match this season, so
it is.
I gotta step it up if I want to win.
It's Battle Royale.
I guess so. Well, are you ready to start talking about the creeping creatures?
No, but let's do it anyway.
So before we start talking about the episode, we will give you a premise. This premise is coming from Scoobypedia for the creeping creatures. The gang visits a mysterious ghost town that has many gator creatures. The episode begins with this family. They're on their way to New York City, and they're far from it. The mom in the group, she asks her husband, hey, is this New York City? And he's like, yeah, I think so. I think we're pretty close to Broadway. And the daughter, who's sitting in the back seat, she looks at this map, and the map basically tells her that they are roughly 2,000 miles away from Broadway.
So Broadway is approximately 2,000 miles away from where we currently are in Gatorsburg. My thought with it was, like, the dad probably knew that, like, where they were going. Like, maybe it was an impromptu visit to see his parents or something. And, like, he just didn't want to tell his wife because she'd say no. So he was like, surprise, we're going to New York.
I like that theory. Like, he's on his way to Crystal Cove.
Yeah. Like, he wants to go see Crystal Cove, but he knows his whole family will say no. And so he's like, hey, do you guys want to go to New York?
Basically.
And then just say, like, oh, I don't know how we ended up here.
I would pull that shit.
Yeah, I could see you doing that. And Alex will kill you.
So now knowing that they are super fucking lost, they decide to stop for gas because it's going to be a long trip before they get to the actual New York City. The dad stops at the gas station. They stop at this gas station, and the dad is, like, really confused on how to use the gas pump because there's no option for him to use his credit card.
It's, like, super old from, like, before credit cards were a thing.
And while he's trying to figure out the pump, the dog in the back seat manages to get out, and the daughter chases after the dog. She's calling for him. She's going, hey, Cuddles, Cuddles. She's reaching into this bush, and she thinks for a moment that she's found the dog. But then we see this glowing set of red eyes, and it turns out it's a gator person.
It was really scary, because she's reaching for it, and, like, you as the viewer can see an outline of, like, a face, like a skull almost.
But you know she can't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, you know she can't see anything. But, like, so because we can see, like, just basically, like, an outline, like, of, like, a white thing. So I was thinking she was going to grab, like, a skull, and I was thinking that's equally as scary as what actually happened. And so she went to reach for it, and then, like, glowing eyes, and the gator man jumped out.
And she starts screaming and running back to the car. She sees her dad, and she says, Gator Man! And he's just like, oh, honey, what are you talking about? And then he sees the gator person, and he screams the same thing. They hop in the car, and they just start driving.
And I'll say, like, when he closed the car, the gator man was, like, right on his ass. Mm-hmm.
They stopped for 1 second so they could grab the dog. I'm glad they didn't forget the dog. And then they just were gone.
They lost all their luggage.
Oh, yeah. It all was, like, piled on top of the car, and it all fell off, and they're going back home.
Yep. No more New York. No more nothing. We're going home.
This scene finishes with the gator's tail crawling into the bushes nearby, and that's how that scene ends. We now have the regular Mystery Incorporated intro. And then the episode continues to where we see Fred's home. He has a huge house. I love that house. It looks great.
It's a nice house.
And it's pouring down rain outside. So all the gang are inside. They're all super fucking bored.
So it starts out with Velma sitting in this chair, and she's just, oh, I'm so bored. We haven't had a good mystery since I don't know when. And, like, so it kind of implies they've been doing little mysteries here or there, but they're all just easy peasy, like, baby mysteries.
Yeah. I kind of feel with her, though, because we haven't had a good Scooby-Doo episode in a super long time.
Like, this entire season has just been a drag, so I feel you.
Daphne says that she's read every magazine in Fred's house, and that's when she sees this one magazine peeking out from the cushions on the couch.
And you just see, like, a girl in a bikini.
It looks kind of suggestive.
I thought it was going to be a Playboy.
Something like that. She pulls it, and Fred sees her going for it, and he's like, no! And he, like, leaps over the couch and lands on the coffee table. Daphne manages to grab the magazine. It's an issue of Traps Illustrated.
Which is a play on of Sports Illustrated.
It shows this girl in the bikini, and she's like kind of she's like testing this bear trap.
Yeah. And so Fred's like, I just read it for the articles.
Sure you do, Fred. With this incarnation of Fred, I do believe that, though.
like my thought was, any other person on the planet, I'd be like, yeah, bullshit. But with Fred, I'm like, that's probably what he's doing.
That's exactly what he's doing. Because Fred's a good boy.
He's just obsessed with traps. Like, he's a good guy.
He says that the trap that he's been working on the front door, he actually got inspired by one of the articles he read in that magazine.
So it seems to be a good magazine.
I guess so, because it manages to trap his mailman, who gets caught right outside. He's delivering a package for Fred. Fred takes it, closes the door, and he lets the mailman loose. He sets the box on the coffee table and then just sits down and just ominously stares at it.
Like, they're all so sketched out by this package. Now, my thought is, Fred is making these traps all the time. So he's like buying shit online or like doing whatever. Like, he's got to be, it could be a box filled with anything, but immediately there's
maybe nets or ropes inside it or something.
Like, they're all acting so sketched out by it. I was like, oh, okay.
And Daphne was just like, what do you think it is? And Shaggy, who is just kind of like us in this series, he's kind of like just us in this instance. He's like, I think it's a box. So Fred opens it, and it looks like there's a folded letter on top of whatever's inside.
Velma snatches it.
Like, Velma, who the fuck are you?
It's not your box, bitch.
It's for Fred. It turns out it's from Mr. E. So, I mean, really, it's addressed to all of them, but still, like, what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
Velma's just being a really rude person right now. And the letter basically says that he's been saving this for a rainy day.
Yeah. The letter goes, save this for a rainy day. And I'm like, but it's raining outside.
And Fred goes to actually examine what's in the box, and Daphne panics thinking that it's a bomb. So Daphne is like super fucking sketched by Mr. E.
Well, she does say that because she's like, I don't like Mr. E weirds me out.
I mean, same, but like, do you think he's out to kill you? Like,
I mean, he sends them to get gator people.
It turns out that what's actually inside the box is a gator skin purse. Daphne thinks it's adorable, but Velma snatches it like she did the letter before she can grab it. She reads this tag that's on the purse that says that it's 100% gator and that it was made in Gatorsburg.
Which leads us up to some questions, because as we learn, Gatorsburg hasn't had gators in centuries. Decades. Yeah, the place is basically a ghost town. Velma gives us a little bit of a history lesson here.
The town was founded in the 1800s when miners were in the area looking for gold, and then they actually found gators. I guess there were mines that just had tons of gators. Like, they're extracting these gators like they're inanimate objects.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well,
it's super strange.
And like the little clip we get is like the gators are like pouring out like an oil rig, and like
they're piled on this train.
Yeah. And so basically we get a nice history lesson of what overpoaching does in the real life.
Because eventually the gator mines dried out, and this now booming town that was built around the gator economy was no longer. Yep, it became a ghost town. So it does seem a little odd to them that this 100% gator made in Gatorsburg purse is coming to them, so they go to investigate. Gatorsburg is roughly 3 miles away from Crystal Cove, so it's not a long drive.
No.
They get to the town and they split up and they start looking for clues. Something I had to say about Gatorsburg is that it looks like a fucking nuclear wasteland.
Yeah, it was not anywhere I would willingly go.
I get that it's a swamp and, that's kind of the gator ecosystem, but like the water's all green and everything's just like has like a green overtone to it. It's really nice. Like, it's atmospheric.
So I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Because I just thought of it. Because we find out that people are buying this. Oh, never mind. I'll save it to the end.
Okay.
Because that's when it comes into play.
Oh, okay. So the gang get out of the mystery machine. They split up. Velma goes up to Shaggy and says,
"You want to come clue hunting with me?"
really suggestive too.
Clue hunting is code for sex, guys.
Basically. Like, we all think that Fred and Daphne are doing that when they're splitting up. Velma's got a thing or two up her sleeves with Shaggy, I think.
Velma is wet throughout this entire episode.
Super thirsty for Shaggy. Yeah.
Like,
Shaggy ends up going into this place called the Gator Burger. It's, like a little burger diner, I guess. Shaggy and Scooby find a bunch of old gator burgers on this counter. I noted that before they came in, we see one of the gator people inside, and then he kind of just vanishes. I'll bring that back up later, but I thought it was strange.
It is. It's weird because, like, why would you be in there?
Well, I'll talk about that later. Shaggy and Scooby do enter the restaurant. They find all these old burgers who, God knows how long they've been sitting there.
Well, and at first, so the first time we watched it through, I thought that there was, like, mold on the burgers, and the guys were like, and ate it anyway.
It looked like there was.
It did, but then if you look closely, because the third time we watched it, I noticed, it's actually gator. Like, you see...
Well, no, I knew the gator was there.
But that's what the mold is it's not mold, it's really, like, baby gators.
Well, yeah, but
also, how long has it been there?
Exactly.
Because the gators haven't been there for decades, so never mind.
It's not refrigerated.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I don't know.
But they eat it, so I'm disgusted by that.
And, like, they really struggle with it. I don't know. I've never had gator meat, but I heard that it's more tender than you think. It's not as tough.
I've never had it.
I've told it's been comparable to chicken. And so, like, when the guys bite into it, like, Shaggy's really tearing a piece off. And I'm like, oh, is it really that hard to eat?
Velma comes in and she says that she wants to talk to Shaggy. Shaggy says that he's kind of just busy eating the burgers.
He can't hear anything over his starving stomach.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he started playing with his belly button.
Give me making a double. It a mouth. Yeah.
So Velma kind of storms out and she's pissed at Shaggy.
So he, being a guy, Velma, wait up. Like, Velm, what did I do? And, like a reasonable person.
And Velma goes, nothing. You didn't do anything.
And he goes, so me not doing anything is what you're mad about? Why are girls so complicated? And I'm like, bro, she literally, like, very suggestively asked you to go clue hunting. That's what she wanted to do.
Even if it didn't lead to anything. Like...
That's
she
your
wanted
girlfriend.
To do it with you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And instead you ditched her to go and eat these moldy old
and
gator
my thing
burgers.
Is, besides anything else, you left your girlfriend. Like, Fred and Velma were already gone. Fred and Daphne were already gone. And you left your girlfriend alone to go eat moldy burgers. Like, even, like, you just left her alone. She's gonna be upset.
Right. Fred calls the gang back to the mystery machine because evidently they didn't find anything.
They didn't look very long.
No, they didn't. They climb in the mystery machine and Fred goes to start the van and it doesn't start. So they climb out of the van. They look under the hood and Daphne says, Fred, do you see anything wrong?
See that hole right there? That's supposed to be an engine.
My favorite quote from this episode, I swear.
So... their engine's just gone.
It's
just up
gone.
And disappeared. Like, they weren't gone very long. It literally had to have disappeared within, like, the 2 minutes that it took Velma. Because Velma was standing by the truck. Or by the van. So she walked away to go yell at Shaggy. And that's when somebody took the engine.
Engines are not that easy to, like, just...
unplug and run.
No, you can't just do that like that. I'm no car expert. I know nothing about cars or engines or shit like that, but I know it's not that fucking easy to take an engine.
Let's go steal an engine. Let's go see how hard it is.
Okay. We'll be right back, guys. We're going to go steal an engine. Hey, guys, we're back. It turns out we were fucking right. Engines are not easy to steal. So... this is when a truck kind of appears. This is when a truck pulls up. Its headlights are on. It's shining on the gang. And this really tall guy, his name is Groovy Gator. He climbs out of the truck and he's wondering what they're doing in Gatorsburg. He said that they're in big trouble. Why?
Like, fuck off. My engine is gone.
So Fred suggests... so he, like, tugs Fred by his shirt collar, and it's just like, what are you guys doing in Gatorsburg? And I like that Fred, like, comments on his huge hands.
Like, he doesn't care about anything else. The dude's grabbed him by his shirt and he's like, you got some big hands. And he's like, what are you doing in Gatorsburg? He goes, what's your ring size? Like, he can't let it go.
He's like, our car broke down, and do you think you could take a look? And he says, and why the heck should I help you? And Velma just really, like, side-eyeing, looking at him. It's just like, because you're a mechanic?
Touche.
So he goes and looks, and he's like, yeah, so the issue is that your engine is missing. It's like, yeah, Fred already knows this.
We already diagnosed it as engineless.
And he says that in order to get a new engine, they'll probably have to wait until morning because Crystal Cove is about 3 miles away.
So he'll have to order one from Crystal Cove, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that makes sense because it's already like nighttime and these places are probably closed already. Like, you gotta wait. And the gang is just like, okay, well, we'll try and get a lift back home. So all the members of the gang call their parents to see if they can get a lift. I wrote down like what each one did.
Yeah.
So Velma calls her mom. Fred calls his dad. Daphne calls her mom. And they all ask, hey, can you come pick us up from Gatorsburg?
So Velma's mom's response is, well, honey, you know it's race night, and you know how I am with my horses. And it cuts over to a picture of her mom, like, snuggling this horse, and Velma just standing in the background all by herself.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And so then...
Well, no, I had one other thing. Because then she went on to say that Venus is in its third retrograde, and that she's expecting Sick Little Monkey to show up. What the fuck?
I mean, racehorses usually have weird names.
Well, no, I understood
that was just
like,
something.
What does Venus's third retrograde have to do with this?
What does that even mean? Like, well, you see, what was it? Sick Little Monkey?
Yeah, Sick Little Monkey. That was the horse's name.
He's a Pisces, so when Venus is in its third, like, I don't know.
Fred's dad, his excuse is that he's already in the recline position in the recliner, and there's no coming back from that.
Honestly, that's fair. And he had like a drink in his hand and
it was like a margarita.
Yeah, he was set for the night. I feel him.
My favorite one, though, was Daphne's mom.
So Daphne's mom takes the phone and looks outside and goes, oh, honey, it's dark outside, and you know I can't go out in the dark.
I forgot that her mom is like batshit in this show.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Like,
she's fucking crazy.
I remember at one time, like later in the series, Daphne like talked about how her mom went and like lived in the treehouse for like 3 weeks. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Daphne's mom is just having the time of her life. She's living her best life, and her best life is not in the dark.
No, it's not. So all three of them are just like, okay, well, that didn't work. So
and they
Shaggy
all look over at Shaggy like, all right, go ahead.
So Shaggy calls his parents. They don't answer the phone because they're doing their still life night.
Well, literally, like, Shaggy is so funny because he calls and it rings a few times and then he hangs up and he's like, oh, I forgot, it's still life night.
Now, what's actually happening, we see his dad laying on this bed naked with a robe over his private area.
Yeah.
And he's holding this
Grape.
vine of grapes and he's just like looking at it. He's posing for a painting. Shaggy's mom is painting
the grapes.
She's not painting his father. And like the grapes are huge on the canvas, so there's like no room for his dad to be in the painting.
Yeah.
So like he's just laying there naked for no reason.
Not for no reason. She needs something to look at.
No, I think it's more of a passive-aggressive thing. Like, she doesn't want to paint him.
She's like, fuck you.
I do get that kind of impression from their relationship. Like, I feel like his mom's kind of just done with his dad.
There's a lot. So, they all just kind of like, are like, okay, well, we're gonna have to spend the night. Do you know of any hotel?
That's when Grady recommends his sister's hotel up at the top of this hill. It's called the Drowsy Gator. He says he gives them a lift up to the hotel. He tows the mystery machine. And he tells them that whatever they do, don't leave their bedrooms.
And we're told this multiple times.
Yes. So, listen. They go inside or they're about to go inside. the gang are up on the porch. Scooby's right behind them, and he looks up at the Drowsy Gator sign. It's a neon sign. It has a bunch of text underneath it, like sundries, food, entertainment, something like that. And the lights start to flicker. I remember the very first time I noticed this, the very first time I watched this episode, I was 14, 15 years old, and I saw this scene, and I kind of flipped. So the letters flicker on and off, and it eventually leaves the letters that spell out the dog dies. And I was just like, oh my god, that is messed up. And
then, so immediately, like, Scooby cowers.
His shit. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, seeing that, you're going to get scared. So he just starts crying and whimpering, and they all rush right to his side, which I thought was really cute.
They all look up at the sign, and now all the letters are on. So
Woo.
Either that really happened, and someone's trying to fuck with Scooby, or Scooby's hallucinating.
Hallucinogenics in the Scooby treats? Scooby snacks?
Scooby snacks don't really play a role in the Mystery Incorporated, honestly.
They don't.
Unfortunately. Because they play a big role in Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue.
Yeah. So they go inside, and Fred starts ringing the bell.
The whole place is decorated, like decked out with gator garb and decorations.
Yep.
Like there's gator statues and gator paintings. They have like classic paintings replaced with gators.
Yeah.
Like they have, you know that painting of all the dogs playing poker? It was all the gators playing poker. And the owner of the hotel, the sister, her name is Greta Gator. She comes out and she's just like, welcome. And she's just kind of like twirling her hair. We
don't have any vacancies, or, you know, we don't have any rooms left.
And Fred's like, well, your sign says vacancy.
The sign's broken.
And Velma really quickly responds, but it's a painted sign.
And then Greta turns to face the camera, because before that we were just seeing the side of her face.
Mm-hmm.
She turns and looks at the camera, and she has two eyes going in the complete opposite polar directions.
Like, you think cross-eyed? Okay, well, the pupils are going in the opposite direction.
Yeah. She is terrifying looking.
I don't like her at all.
No, immediately you know she's going to be a bad guy.
She introduces the gang to her son, Gunther, who's in this other room playing the piano.
Gunther looks like a mix between a snake and Slender Man.
Kind of. You said that during the episode he reminded you of a character from the Gangrene Gang from Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, if you guys remember, if you haven't seen the Powerpuff Girls, go watch the old one.
The original, yes.
Original.
That. Yes.
In the Gangrene Gang, the head guy, who talked like a snake also, he looks like that. He's just got that, like, emo-y hair.
He doesn't have the sunglasses, and it's basically him.
But it's, yeah. Take off that dude's sunglasses. It's him. But he, like, slithers up to the gang, and, like, is, like, he's weird. He reminds me of, like, a weird, like, off-putting Slender Man, like. And
he's like, welcome! Hello! It's like,
weird.
Okay, well, if you're not a villain, I want you dead.
Yeah. Like, either way, something happened. I'm not okay with it.
Something I also noticed about the sister, she, like, licked her lips for a moment, and she had, like, a super long tongue, like a reptile. It was gross.
Well, and, like, you know, because Gunther reminds me of a snake, her mouth reminds me of a snake, so maybe there's some snakiness in the family.
Slytherins. They're all Slytherins.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So Greta takes the gang up to their bedrooms. As she's taking them up, Shaggy examines this huge claw mark that's like in the wall. It's tearing up the wallpaper, and it's also tearing through this painting. So he's like, so what's with these claw marks?
And she goes, I don't see any claw marks.
She's like looking at it too, like straight at it, however straight her eyes can look. But
well, my thing is she's looking straight at it with her body. That's why she can't see it, because her eyes are going in either direction.
She takes them to their bedrooms and she tells them her rules. Her first rule is that boys and girls sleep in separate rooms, no exceptions.
So Velma gets really excited. Daphne, that means we get to room together.
And Greta quickly snaps too. She's like, no exceptions.
And so Velma goes, but I'm a girl. And she goes, oh, okay.
So that got resolved really quickly.
That was all right.
The second rule is that they should not leave their rooms no matter what they hear.
Now, there were a whole bunch of, sounds that she gave an example of, but the last one and the most memorable is...
the sound of a body.
The sound of a body being dragged against a hardwood floor. Oh, okay. I don't personally have a reference for that sound, but I'd be really great to never have one.
And the last rule is that there are no pets allowed in the hotel. So that singles out Scooby, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Scooby has to go sleep in the mystery machine. So Scooby's all sad and, going down the stairs. I like the music that was playing as if this is a really sad, dramatic moment. Aww.
He has to sleep in the van.
Right. And Shaggy's hugging Scooby before he goes down, and Velma rolls her eyes.
She's just I'm fucking done with this. Just
Bye,
let the call
Scooby.
leave. Yeah,
right.
Get the dog out.
So Scooby has to go sleep in the mystery machine, and as he's going out there, he also grumbles, "I'm no pet."
My thing is, that could have very easily been resolved with him standing up on two legs going, "I'm not a pet," and she'd go, "Oh, okay."
She can't fucking see anything anyway. She thinks that Velma's a guy.
Yeah, so it's all good. So Velma is getting ready for bed. I'm going to put that in quotations because she's putting more makeup on and getting all cute. And so Daphne comes in and is just watching her what the fuck is going on? And Daphne goes, "Is there something different about your bangs?" And Velma goes, "Yeah, I raised them a 0.5 centimeter to bring out my forehead."
Oh.
Alrighty.
I like that Daphne noticed that, though.
That's a true friend. If you notice a 0.5 centimeter...
Wow.
I'm going to cut my hair a 0.5 centimeter, and if you don't notice, we're going to fight.
Meanwhile, Fred and Shaggy are in the other room, and Fred starts talking about how they're all going to graduate and they're all going to move in together. Because that just sounds great.
It's cute. I thought it was cute.
Because Fred's a good boy in this universe.
Yeah, I'm going to move in with them.
He asks Shaggy which kind of sheets he prefers, if he prefers flannel or cotton.
He also asks if he minds bunk beds.
Is that what he asked?
And Shaggy, at this moment, could care less.
He's more worried about Scooby, and he says, "Should I go check on Scooby?" And Fred's just well, we were all told to stay in our rooms, so, other than that, I wouldn't recommend it. Because Fred's a good boy.
Yeah. So, Shaggy leaves. He's all right, well.
Well, he snuck out before he could hear Fred's question about the sheets.
Yeah.
And he and Velma bump into each other in the hotel hallway. And Velma was super excited. She's oh, were you coming to visit me?
Now, Velma's really excited because up until this point in their relationship, Shaggy's shown no interest in dating Velma.
I know. It sounds like Velma forcibly initiated this relationship, and Shaggy just can't get out of it for some reason.
And my thing is, I want to know how it started. Because
I would love to know where it started.
We come into the middle of this relationship, and so I'm very confused, how it started.
Who asked who out? What were the circumstances?
I mean, my thing is, have they been on a date, or is it all just this, messing around?
Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really bizarre, especially just because we don't see the beginning of the relationship ever.
Yeah.
There's no indication of who asked who out or...
My thing is, from what we can tell, all of this is in Velma's head.
It's all one-sided.
Yeah, it's all in Velma's head, and Shaggy's just too polite to tell her, no.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It sucks, because I like the concept of them together, in theory. I just hate the idea of these two versions of Shaggy and Velma together.
I want to see a version of them where Shaggy actually wants to be with her. Because I think it'd be really cute. Shaggy showing her off and making her feel good about herself, I think would be really cute. And we know he's able to do it because he does it with Scooby all the time. So I just think it'd be cute to see a couple where they actually want to be together.
Right. So anyway, Shaggy says that he was going to go see her, but that Fred insisted that he go and check on Scooby. So he was going to go do that first.
Yeah.
Velma's just like, don't worry about that.
Scooby's fine.
We cut to Scooby for a second, and he's just shivering underneath a blanket in the mystery machine because he's scared shitless. Like, Gatorsburg looks scary on its own.
Well, and dogs get afraid during thunderstorms anyway.
Yeah.
So adding everything together.
Like, we haven't even seen the gator people yet from the gang's perspective. Like, no one knows that there's gator people here yet.
Yeah, we just
Scooby's just scared shitless because Gatorsburg is fucking scary. I wouldn't want to be there.
No.
And he thinks that he hears something outside, but he doesn't know yet. We now cut to Daphne, who is sneaking into the boys' room. She sneaks in while Shaggy and Velma are elsewhere.
Well, and she's looking for Velma.
Right, yeah. She closes the door, and Fred's like, what are you doing, Daphne? And she's like, I'm looking for Velma.
Which is funny, because it implies that Daphne knows. Like, Daphne's not stupid. Because that's the first place she's gonna look, is in the boys' room.
I guess.
Because, like, think about it. In any other Scooby universe, Velma would have snuck out to, like, go to the library.
Well, remember in the first Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated episode when Daphne, like, straight up asked Velma in front of Fred, I was like, is there something going on between you and Shaggy? No, like, so Daphne has whiff of this. Yeah.
So, like, because in any other universe or any other circumstance, like, Velma would have been in the library researching, like, why were we sent here? What's going on? But, like, she goes straight to the boys' room. Like, where's Velma? Yeah,
and I'm sure she's putting two and two together that Shaggy's not in here right now either.
Yeah.
So she goes and sits with Fred because Fred says that he has something to show her. He pulls out this, like, scrapbook from the drawer of the nightstand, which I thought was weird that he had in the nightstand. Like,
well, he's unpacking.
Why do they have things to pack? They didn't come here to stay.
Well, if you go on a mystery, you don't know how long it's going to take. I'm sure they had some, like, of the same clothes.
I don't know. He pulled out this scrapbook, and Daphne's, like, super, flattered by it. She's like, oh, a scrapbook! Oh my god! And it turns out it's actually a trap book. It has a ton of diagrams of traps from their mysteries from the past. Something I noted about this was that Fred notes two traps that they used to capture the Phantom of Vasquez Castle and Carlotta the Gypsy, who are two real villains in the Scooby-Doo Where Are You series.
So I feel like Scooby-Doo Where Are You is canon in almost every other series because they mention back to it or call back to it a lot. Even though, like, we know all the series aren't canon to each other, but, like, that specific first series.
I like to think of Mystery Incorporated as, like, a sequel to Scooby-Doo Where Are You?
Yeah.
In a way. Like, I don't like to think of any of the other series in the same universe as these two. I like to think that Mystery Incorporated was intended to be kind of like a sequel to Where Are You?
Well, and it would have kind of taken, like, a nice... Because we grew up watching Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And then we also get to watch Mystery Incorporated. Mm-hmm. It was kind of to call back all of those fans.
So, while Fred is showing Daphne this scrapbook, Scooby is now actually being attacked by the gator people. One of them appears, like, on the windshield, and it scares the shit out of the dog.
Okay, so this is where we're going to spoil it for you. Even though we already did. The three gators are the three people. Mm-hmm. So, Greta's gator is the one that is, like, up on the windshield. Yeah. And so we get a nice, clear view of Greta's gator face. And I noted that even though they have glowing eyes, they still have, like, a slight inkling of pupil.
Oh,
and you can tell that the eyes are Greta.
That's so funny. Scooby is scared, and he bursts out of the back of the Mystery Machine. The other two gators now appear, and they all basically chase him on top of the van. So now Scooby's just sitting on top of the Mystery Machine while the three gators are, like, surrounding the van and reaching for him. Because that's just scary as hell.
That's terrifying.
I feel so bad for Scooby right now.
Yeah, it was just like...
I mean, between this and Scooby seeing the dog dies on the sign...
He's not having a great day.
Scooby's not having a good night here in Gatorsburg.
He's not coming back. No, thank you.
He does manage to get off the van, and he runs up to the hotel. He rings on the front desk bell, hoping that someone's going to come help.
Because Scooby's a good boy, and
No, Fred's a good boy.
But Scooby's a good boy, too. And he knows that pets aren't allowed in the hotel, so he's gonna ring the thing to try and get some help. He doesn't want to go running around where he's not welcome.
He ends up just being like, fuck it, because the gators burst through the door of the hotel. They knock it off its hinges.
Yeah.
And he runs up to the boys' room thinking he was going to find Fred and Shaggy. He finds Fred and Daphne. He closes the door and he's just panting and he's just like, oh my God. And he's out of breath and he can't speak, so he's just so scared. So he's trying to get the words out and he's like doing charades to try and act out what's going on. I noted a couple of the responses that Fred thought he was saying. He responded asking if Scooby was trying to say skater people and Krager's people.
There were also tater people.
Tater people, that's right.
And so and so Daphne, like, is like, oh, he means gator people.
Right. And that's when the gator people burst through the door, right?
Yeah.
And Scooby hops on the bed and he accidentally knocks over the lamp that's on the nightstand.
He tackles Fred.
Yes. And when the lamp falls off of the nightstand, the room just goes dark. And
it's like blinking red.
I'm going to read to you verbatim what I wrote when this scene began. I wrote, super fucking scary horror movie scene.
So, like, because the lamp is, like, flickering on and off, but for some reason it's flickering, like, a red light. So, it might have been from outside.
Like the lightning?
Yeah, no, like the sign. The gator sign, like the hotel sign.
Or that, whatever it is.
Because it was red. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The room is fucking scary.
It's
the
terrifying.
Lighting is scary. The music is scary.
And you see, like, the gator people slowly, like, coming towards them. And so Daphne yells, get on the bed! And so everyone jumps on the bed. Not that the bed's really gonna help, but... So they're on there, and Daphne, like, immediately gives up. This is the end. There's no coming back.
She's hugging Scooby super tight.
And so Fred goes, wait, I have an idea, the comforter. And so he throws it over the gator people's head. They all jump on their head and run. And then they run to another room, which happens to be the same room that...
Shaggy and Velma are in, yeah.
Now, before they come running in, we see Velma and Shaggy talking. And
it looks like Velma's like cornered him.
Yeah, like he looks a little scared.
And she's just staring at him like, I'm going to undress you.
She's undressed him with her eyes already.
I'm going to give you that look right now.
Stop, don't. Okay. Anyway, so, so, if that's your sex phase, I'm so sorry for Alex. So she's, telling him like, oh, there's no Fred, there's no Daphne, there's no Scooby. And so she leans in for a kiss and Shaggy like gulps, but then he looks willing, like, okay, nobody's here. I can kiss my girlfriend, which is weird circumstances, but okay.
They're about to kiss, and that's when the rest of the gang burst into the room.
And Scooby jumps on Shaggy and starts kissing his face. Shaggy could not be more happy to see Scooby.
Yeah, he is really happy to see him. And Velma's just like, what's going on? And Daphne's just like, gator people! And she's like, come again? Like, she's pissed. Like, the rest of the gang just cockblocked
She was trying to get fucked. And, like, y'all just ran in here. But so Daphne yells, gator people! And Fred goes, shh. Starting the next horror scene.
Right. And again, I wrote this verbatim again on my paper. Another super fucking scary horror movie scene. Like, the room is silent.
The room goes dead silent. There's really, like, just quiet, ominous music going over it, and you're just waiting because Fred's holding the door, and they're listening to see where the gator people are.
All the characters are still. They're not moving. They're just, like, looking around.
And, like, the camera's slowly panning to see all of their faces. It stops right on Daphne.
And the only thing that's moving, too, is the fan. The ceiling fan. It's just very slowly creaking.
Yep. And so the camera pans across all of them and stops at Daphne. And right when it does, I went, ooh, window. And like the gator and
Gunther Gator, yeah.
Gunther Gator jumps through the window, misses Daphne by a hair, and they all run into the bathroom where
Greta Gator's gator person
is in the bathtub, and she starts coming at him.
I am wondering where she came from because it doesn't look like there's a window in the bathroom. But okay, anyway.
We'll let it go because it was fucking scary.
The whole scene was fucking scary.
It was just terrifying. So then like, somehow all the lights go out again.
Yeah, I think the lamplight just went out. I think
Yeah.
there was really no reason why it did. It just did.
It was just supernaturally and weird.
Yep.
And so, you know, it basically the same thing starts. They're coming at them and they have to run out.
They're trying to... Well, at this point, I think the two gators are, like, in the corner, and they're trying to, like, really quietly, like, move across the room.
So they all end up on the wall, and that's when Fred whispers, and he goes, move slowly towards the door.
Exactly. And that's when the big gator man, Grady's gator, his hand, like, bursts through the floor, and he grabs Velma. Shaggy heroically grabs her and, you know, pulls her back up, and...
I'm going to say, though, like, the way she yelled Shaggy kind of, like, touched my soul. Because it was the way that, like, you yell out somebody's name at, like, last attempt. Like, the last thing I'm ever going to say. And she's just like, Shaggy!
Yeah.
And he grabs her and pulls her back. And it was just like, oh. Like, that's how their relationship started.
He managed to save her, and she lands on him, and she's like, you saved me! And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I did. And then he freaks out for a second because he sees the hand still on Velma's leg, and she flips a shit. And it turns out it's just a piece of the costume that got tore off, to which Scooby instantly just responds, that's disgusting.
So she shakes it off and, like, kicks it, and it ends back up on Gunther Gator's face.
Fred says that it looks like it's part of a costume.
So immediately we know, okay, we're no longer dealing with monsters.
Yes.
So Gunther Gator then, like, pops it into his mouth and just tears the gloves to shreds. So now we know we're dealing with psychopaths.
It makes me think of when Carla was, like,
cleaning
herself in front of Misty Swiss, and Misty Swiss was just like, Carla, that's neither helpful nor attractive. Like, in this instance, Gunther just ruined the costume, so that's not helpful, and also looks fucking terrifying and psychotic, and that's not attractive.
No.
Gunther, that's neither helpful nor attractive.
So they all go running out. They go so they run out of the hotel, and Fred yells for Scooby to get into the driver's seat, and they're going to push the van.
Yeah, they put it in neutral, and they all hop on the back of the mystery machine as it rolls down the hill into the city.
Yep. So it rolls right out of the city, over a bridge, and just past Gatorsburg's city limits.
Yes.
So they all look back, because now, you know, the mystery machine has stopped.
Yes.
And so they all kind of look back like, fuck, we're going to die. And all three of the Gators are standing there at the city limit, and then they turn around and leave. So it's very obvious they just wanted you out of the city.
Right. I will say, just to kind of describe to the listeners what the gator people really look like, it's literally just alligators with human heads. Like, that's kind of what they all look like.
And, like, you wouldn't think that'd be super scary, but it is.
It is. And I love their costume designs.
Yeah.
They look really good. But yeah, so they end up retreating back into the town, and the gang kind of put two and two together, like, they didn't really want to attack us or anything. They just wanted us out of town. So they decide to go back into town.
Because, you know, mystery is in their blood. They need to figure out what's going on.
I guess so. They find all the gator people piling some boxes into this boat. And they're like, I wonder what they're doing. So they see one of the boxes. They're standing right behind it. And Velma grabs a crowbar from God knows where.
And just rips the top off. I mean, honestly, like, this woman, she's ready to go. Let's get this done.
It has a ton of the gator skin products inside. You know, gator belts, gator purses, jackets. It's
everything,
all in there, yeah. So they're all looking at it, and they all have the same tag that the purse did that they received in the mail from Mr. E. It says 100% gator, made in Gatorsburg.
So Daphne goes, let me see that real quick, and grabs a belt and whips it around her arm and goes, ow! And throws it off. And immediately, like, red blisters are everywhere that the rope, or that the belt just was.
I like that I like that she reacted to it as if she's, like, being burned. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like if a vampire was, like, tasting garlic or something.
Yeah, like,
or
it was
being hit by sunlight. Like,
it was immediate and painful.
That's what her mom would be like if she stepped out into the dark.
So we find out that Daphne is allergic to imitation animal skin. Anything like pleather, like fake fur, and fake alligator skin.
It all makes her break out. So now they know, hey, this isn't real. And I like that Shaggy pointed out, so fake gator people selling fake gator products. How ironic.
We've stumbled into a great case of irony.
Right. So they devise a plan. I wrote down this plan. It's not nearly as complex as the plan that Fred had for his trap last episode.
Well, and the reason is because it's a reused trap. It's trap number 45.
Oh, from the trap book?
Yep.
Yeah. So basically what they do is Shaggy and Scooby, they get the gator people's attention. Shaggy calls them crocodiles, and they were super fucking offended by that. Like,
you're not even real alligators.
I think it's just because their last name is Gator.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, don't call me King, Shannon. The gator people now chase Shaggy and Scooby, and they get caught in this like whole rope of belts that are like on the ground. All their feet get caught in them, and they get pulled up by the belts are being caught in this pulley that's, counterweight, all of that. They're hanging in the air. They end up being loosened, and they land on this trampoline. They bounce into the air, and then Velma on a forklift, she releases these 3 like gator skin chests, and there's one big enough for each one, so all 3 of the gator people land in each chest, and they're captured. And
like the belts wrap around to like tie the chest closed.
Fred, Daphne, and Shaggy all hop on top of each one to make sure that the gators don't get out.
It was a very
successful trap.
Good job.
Fred needs to go into physics.
He's great at it.
He's really good at physics.
They're not in college yet, but we know they went to college.
Yes, they did.
So maybe that's what he went for.
So now that everyone's captured, they're now waiting outside the hotel, and the gang called the Crystal Cove Police Department. It's interesting that they called Crystal Cove's police.
And it is specifically pointed out at one point, they have no jurisdiction.
That's what Sheriff Stone said. Like, maybe they're taking them to the county jail, I guess?
Because
that's the only other people that I think would have jurisdiction here.
Well, and the only thing that the sheriff can do is do, like, a citizen's arrest. So maybe that's kind of what he's doing. Like, maybe that's why it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't really know how it works with ghost towns. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, there's still a population, but it's only 3. So, like...
Who's governing that?
Who's in charge? Who's the mayor?
Do they even have to have one?
I don't know.
Complexities of ghost towns I didn't really think were necessary to talk about in Scooby-Doo, but we'll elaborate on this another time.
So Gunther sits there and he goes, yeah, okay, we got busted, but we would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling juveniles and your unauthorized investigation of our synthetic gator accessories. He's smart. He
made that really, really long-winded.
Like, you meddling kids and your stupid dog too. Done. He used some very big words. Some very long words.
And the operation that he's referring to is just, creating fake gator product and selling them on the black market, I assume.
Which we find out that the sheriff fell victim to.
Yes, he's wearing a full body, like, gator suit. And he's like, wait a minute. Does that mean that this gator suit is fake? And Velma's like, yeah, sorry, Sheriff.
She doesn't even look at him.
No.
She's just like, yeah, you're right. Yep, fake.
And Sheriff Stone says, well, I have to get out of this suit then. This gator suit does not breathe. It's beginning to smell. And then it, like, zooms in on him. And he's like, funky. So he's just pissed, and he's like, I don't care that I don't have jurisdiction here. Get these people in my car, and we're just going.
Because they just stole, because he says, like, he paid, like, a buttload for that.
Yeah, he said he spent a fortune.
So he's pissed.
They take them into their police car, and they start driving away, and Fred is, like, calling to them because he's like, hey, can we get a ride back to Crystal Cove? And as he's calling for him, that's when the Mystery Machine starts, just spontaneously.
And Shaggy is definitely me in this situation because immediately he goes, there's no engine. It's haunted.
Yeah. That is you.
Whenever something happens, it's haunted.
That is very accurate. It's you. So it turns out that the engine has been put back where it was, and it was left by Mr. E. So I'm assuming that Mr. E just stole the engine to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I know that the Gator people didn't do it. And it's like, okay, when did you start the car? How did you start the car?
When did you steal our engine? Why did you steal our engine?
What the fuck?
Like, okay.
You're an asshole, Mr. E. He left a note on the engine, and it basically just says that they did a good job, there's many more mysteries to come, and that this is one piece of the puzzle. I don't know what that one piece of the puzzle is, because this had nothing to do with the overarching mystery, but... Okay. The scene basically ends with Velma and Shaggy grabbing each other's hands, and Velma looks at Shaggy really, really happy because, he saved her life, and... really affectionate. It was kind of cute.
Yeah.
And then they're all just standing there about ready to climb in the mystery machine, and the episode ends.
And that's about it.
There's no Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
There's...
It's really ominous and ooh.
Yeah.
So, Shannon, what did you award the creeping creatures on the Scooby Snackometer?
I gave it a 6. Okay. I did like the episode, but like we said before, I really just couldn't get over how stupid the mystery was.
It felt really underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I also gave it a 6. I can't justify giving it a 5 or under because the artwork is always amazing for Mystery Incorporated. The monster designs were amazing. They were fucking scary when it came to them ripping apart shit and chasing the gang, and
there were a lot of good one-liners.
Lots of one-liners, yes. And I think that the only thing that just doesn't really make me want to give it more is that it doesn't have anything to do with the overarching mystery. And also, the mystery itself, like you said, it was weak.
Yeah.
There were only 3 suspects. There's 3 monsters.
There's only 3 people in the town.
It's a no-brainer. Exactly. There's no red herrings. There's no plot twists or just any kind of form of, no, wait a minute. Making you think that you need to go back and see something. None of that's here. So the mystery just didn't really feel like it was even there at all.
Yeah.
I feel like the villains could have gotten away with this in a lot of ways. Hey, maybe just give the gang a lift back to Crystal Cove, seeing that it's only 3 miles away. Or how about the fact that they do have to stay there because their engine's missing for unrelated reasons to you? Just don't do anything tonight.
Well, and, even if you have to do something tonight, first off, you don't have to dress up in your gator costume. Because they were all in their rooms. They were all not bugging about anything. They were all just hanging out.
They weren't leaving the hotel at all.
No.
And there's no reason to either, because there's nothing in Gatorsburg to see.
It's not like they can go anywhere. It's dark. They don't have a car. And then the only reason Scooby was scared. So, let Scooby stay with the gang. It would have been fine. If you really, really, really don't want pets in the hotel, sure. But just leave him alone.
They didn't even stumble upon the Gators. The Gators attacked them.
Exactly. Scooby was scared and saw a gator crawling by, and then the next time we see Scooby, there's a gator on the windshield. Just leave the damn dog alone.
And nothing would have been a problem.
And even if Scooby did see you, out of a gator costume, walking, over to the docks, he's not going to think anything of it. He's fucking terrified.
Or how about Greta and Gunther just not do anything, and Grady, who, has no reason to be at the hotel, does the business elsewhere. The gang doesn't know that Grady's here.
Exactly.
Let Grady do it. I don't know.
It was stupid. It could have been very easily fixed. Whatever.
But instead, we got this really weak mystery in an otherwise really strong series.
Well, and you know what? If he didn't even want to drive 3 miles, they asked, do you know of a hotel? He could have, 1, said no. 2, he could have said, yeah, there's a hotel right out of town. There's other towns around. Just drive them to that one. Instead he straight up, oh, my sister runs the best hotel in town, and takes them to it.
Yeah.
You knew where the gang was. I don't know.
It was dumb.
It was.
I think that it's just a really weak mystery in an overall strong series. And that really gives me mixed opinions on this episode on its own. Because there's really good elements from the series that are really badly clashing with the bad elements of the mystery itself.
Yeah.
So with your 6 and my 6, we collectively award the creeping creatures a 6.
That was easy math.
I'm good at that. So do you want to hear a fun fact for the week?
Sure.
The family in the very beginning of the episode, do they look at all familiar to you?
A little.
They are a spoof of the National Lampoon's Vacation family.
Oh.
Yeah, like the car, the family, it's all modeled after them. And the woman who portrayed the actual mother in the movies voiced the mother in this episode.
So they didn't hide it at all.
No, they didn't. I mean, it's just supposed to be a reference. It's not like stealing anything. But Mystery Incorporated does a lot of that, funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see a lot more of these kind of things where they reference pop culture and random things like that. So I thought that was kind of cool for them to do in this episode.
That's fun to think of.
Because it's nothing distracting or feeling like a crossover or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a really subtle reference. Like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
But if you guys have watched all of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated and you want to hear our thoughts on this episode from the big picture perspective, at the end of the episode, after our main outro credits, you can stick around to hear our thoughts on the episode in that perspective.
There are a lot of spoilers, so that's why we always tell you, we give you the opportunity after the end credits. We don't want to spoil anything, but we do want to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah, so there will be a spoiler warning, so don't
Yes.
worry. So next week, we're going to be watching an episode from Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I love this series. I love watching it whenever I can.
It really gives me a laugh. It's not anything like any of the other Scooby-Doo
It's
series.
really unique.
Yeah, it's unique to itself. Each episode is unique to its own. It's a funny, gag-filled episode.
So you ready to randomize our episode for this series?
Always.
All right, here we go.
And the next episode we will be watching is I, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
The premise for this episode is coming from Scoobypedia. The gang attend a wedding of their two close friends, but a vengeful ghost bride threatens to ruin everything.
Dun dun dun.
I didn't know the gang has friends outside of the gang.
That's like us. Do we have friends outside of each other?
So that'll be a cool episode to see. If you guys want to talk about the creeping creatures or I, Scooby-Dooby-Doo or anything Scooby-Doo related, you guys can always find us online. We're on Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast, or you can email us directly at thatgroovyscoobcast@gmail.com.
You can also visit our website at www.thatgroovyscoobcast.com.
And with that, we hope that you enjoyed That Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for Scooby Snack-filled time.
Bye, guys.
Bye!
Hey guys, thank you for joining us for our spoiler session of our Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated review.
If you listen past this point, there will be spoilers.
Yes, so if you do listen past this, there is no excuse. We have given you our forewarning. Spoilers ahead. So as we discussed in our last spoiler session for Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated last season, we talked about how, these episodes are constantly having little foreshadowings and little nuggets of information that we're going to have to dig up later when the mystery becomes a lot more elaborate and, in your face. The Creeping Creatures, unfortunately, doesn't really have a lot to offer in terms of the overarching mystery, just because it doesn't really offer us any new information. Mr. E does play a role in it, but nothing as extensive as he did in the last episode, where he actually told the gang, hey, you've uncovered something big.
Well, and my whole thing is Mr. E sends them to Gatorsburg for what reason?
Right.
Because it's implied that they were supposed to do something with the gator people because of the whole, the purse. But the only thing that we really got from this episode was the gator sign saying the dog dies.
Yeah, so, watching this episode on its own, that's just kind of a really eerie detail that you notice. It's like, oh, that's kind of messed up. But it actually turns out that's a really clever form of foreshadowing that comes up later on in season 2 of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. In the episode Theater of Doom, the gang is visited by this like zombie ghost of a friar who had died a long time ago. And he's warning the gang about the dangers of the planispheric disk and the curse of Crystal Cove and all of that. At the end of his warning, he says something super ominous and scary because he's basically talking about how in every mystery-solving group that has been involved in this curse, the animal somehow turns evil or becomes corrupted by the planispheric disk.
Yeah.
And he finishes his warning to the gang by saying, heed the warning of the alligators, the dog dies. Which is a direct, callback to this episode taking place in Gatorsburg and the sign explicitly saying the dog dies.
So that's kind of the only thing that we get from this episode. Otherwise, I mean, the only thing that Mr. E really does is, we're assuming, steal the engine and then give the engine back. So unless, for some reason, Mr. E just wanted this gator ring broken up, there wasn't a reason to send them there. I
think he was just kind of trying to keep them busy.
Maybe he heard that they were super bored.
He has, bugs in all of their houses.
Well, because, that was the whole thing was, Velma had just gotten done saying, oh, I'm so bored, and then this thing shows up saying, I saved this for a rainy day. Mm-hmm. It's raining. Maybe Mr. E really does have bugs in all the houses.
I don't know. I mean, his note at the end of the episode does say that this is just one piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't. And that kind of saddens me just because it really doesn't play any role. They only come back to Gatorsburg one other time in the entire series. And that was to find this key that was going to be used to unlock the alternate dimensions, underneath Crystal Cove. But aside from that, Gatorsburg is not really relevant to the show.
No. And
neither was this mystery either.
No, we never deal with anything gator related.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, this episode didn't really need to be included.
Well, it's unfortunate because there's also episodes in this series that don't involve Mr. E at all.
Yeah.
Mr. E doesn't contact them. The mystery has nothing to do with the overarching mystery. There's no new information given. It's just a standalone mystery. It's just a day in the life of Mystery Inc. and their mystery solving. It has nothing to do with the story. So, I mean, this isn't the worst offender of this, but it is unfortunate that it kind of played up this idea that it's a piece of the puzzle when it's not.
Well, and it also just sucks that it's so early on.
Yes.
The rest of them come a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And so it's this one is literally the second. So, we get a good first taste of Mystery Incorporated, and then by the second episode,
you don't really get anything.
Yeah, nothing's
because
really
it's not
there.
Obvious that the dog dies is a reference to anything other than the fact that it's just scary.
Well, and that doesn't even come back until the second season.
Exactly, and I don't know. It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but we did want to point that out to you guys in case you ever saw that and left it alone in this episode, because it was a form of foreshadowing that was kind of cool when it was brought back up by the friar in season 2. Well, thank you guys for sticking around for this spoiler session of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. We hope you guys come back next week for when we talk about Be Cool Scooby-Doo. And with that, you guys have a good week. Bye!
Bye!